You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Hannibal After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Hannibal After Show.
Yes. That would be a harpsichord, Joe Flippo.
Thank you, Joseph Braswell.
Yes. My favorite instrument.
You do love the harpsichord, don't
You do love the organ.
Oh, Nando's really proud of that one.
Nando, he took a drink and everything. Took a sip and everything after that. That was a good one. Welcome to the Hannibal AfterBuzz After Show.
That was impressive.
I am Joe Braswell. I'm joined by the hilarious Nando Velasquez.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
And I'm also joined by the lovely Julia Cearley.
Hi, everybody.
And I'm also joined by the Joe Sanfelippo.
Mean-spirited little man.
The lovely Joe Sanfelippo.
Thank you. Now I feel pretty.
You are. Hannibal, you know who feels pretty? Alana Bloom.
Alana Bloom.
She's in bloom.
Alana got bloomed.
Yes.
There's 2 in a row. I think his was better.
All right. Hannibal Season 2, Episode 6, Futamono. Joe Flippo, what's Futamono?
Futamono.
Am I saying it right?
Is a lidded dish, typically a soup. It's a mid-course in the Kiyosaki. Small but robust soup, and that's what I've got for you.
Right.
A small but robust.
There it is. The more you know.
The more you know.
So that's this episode. So this was good as usual. Not one sucks.
Not one sucks.
No sucky episodes of Hannibal, Brian Fuller. We had a lot going on here. So we had Will really super exert all of his will powers from jail. We saw him in full manipulation mode, moving around chess pieces from his therapy cage. That looks like it may get him sprung, you know, after all.
Oh, he didn't get himself sprung?
Well, Hannibal
sprung him.
As I predicted, Hannibal would spring him.
You did predict that.
Yes, I did. But
hate it when he's right. I just hate it.
I know, it sucks.
Fills me with anger.
But Will was the master manipulator this episode. We see Hannibal also trying to compose his harpsichord piece, which is, I think, metaphor for him trying to figure out what his next move is with Will.
It's either the harpsichord or the theremin. Those are the 2 instruments Alana Bloom, if you're going to bed with a guy who's 2 instruments, either the harpsichord or the theremin, you're going to bed with a weirdo. That is just how it works.
Well, I think she's only interested in his 3rd instrument.
Ho!
I don't know. All right.
It's all bad.
Then we have
going downhill.
we also have Jack.
12-year-olds. All of you 12-year-olds.
Thank you for babysitting.
And that instrument would be the organ. I just had it. Just in case you didn't know what I was talking about. All right. So then the last...
We got nothing. There's nothing.
We're a punchy group today.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right.
It's hot out here.
So hot.
Okay. We have Jack starting to be hot on the trail. Jack's actually starting to finally believe Will, thank goodness, and is really starting to suspect Hannibal, which I thought would never happen. Alana Bloom is the opposite. She is done with Will. I thought she was in love with Will. That was quick. But like,
She is full team Hannibal now.
oh yes,
100%. She
Full
is.
of it.
She's dropped Will 100%, left him in the dust, turned all her attention to Hannibal. And now, you know what was interesting about Alana in this episode? I thought she is always so like voraciously defending the man she loves.
Sure.
As all season 1, she was completely behind Will and 100% on his side, and now she just dropped him in the dust, and now she's 100% behind Hannibal.
man, that's
all or
my kind of
nothing.
girl. Just all in, ride or die.
Ride or die.
I think it might be the latter for her, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it makes me sad. Alana Bloom.
Yeah, and the last thing is we have Dr. Chilton, Mr. Crap Weasel, King-ish Crap Weasel.
Yes,
Dr. Chilton.
Lord High King-ish Crap Weasel.
Yes, he seems to be very quickly.
He's getting snappy smart, man.
Well, yeah, he's solved it. I mean,
Yeah.
with the help of Will, of course. But he saw that he does a quick right turn for him, which is an opportunist turn, maybe.
What do you call it? Darwinism, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to give him any reason to kill me.
Yeah. So we have all that to talk about. We also have the appearance of the lovely. We had Dr. Gideon. I'm sorry. We had Dr. Gideon have a nice meal at the end there, which was.
Oh, it's dark.
Wow.
And that's only because I hate cooking with clay. I mean, that's something I just really
Yes.
don't understand.
And then of course we have the appearance of Miriam Lass at the end.
Boom. I think I predicted that in season 1 that she wasn't dead.
You're right. You're reaching way back to season 1. So
I don't remember 2
also
weeks ago, much less
predicted
season
that
1.
Alana and Hannibal were going to get it on in season 1.
boom, 2 for 2 predictions.
So pay attention to my predictions, ladies and gentlemen.
get to be
Julia
first
Cearley
every
knows things.
Joe Flippo, what did you think of this episode?
I enjoyed this very much.
All the stuff that happened.
As always, I enjoy very much. I think for me, when I get, I don't know, it always seems like such a full plate. It always seems like they lay it out real nice, and you get it real. You get so many different colors and flavors, and then at the end that little twist with Abel, which it's unnecessary. It's an unnecessary
Gratuitous,
thing.
but awesome.
And we could just show you that we chopped his leg off, but that wouldn't be any fun. We baked it in clay.
Yes.
Because I've never heard of baking in clay, which probably makes me a cretin, but it was unbelievable. And he's forced to eat, and I love the way I love Eddie Izzard, the way he's playing it. Like, oh well, hell, I guess I'll eat it. Like, like.
Well, he asked a question. He's like, "So this, I meant to have this for my last. I meant to have my own leg for my last supper." And I was like, "Yes." It's like, "All right,
There you go.
I guess that's it." I'm crazy too. Julia, what do you think of this episode?
As always, I adored this episode. Once again, I feel like they're adding more and more layers psychologically that are just fascinating to me. I did recognize, I think, a bit of a tonal shift in this episode thus far in season 2. I feel like it's been so all the time very dark, and I feel like there was slight moments that were reminiscent of season 1 where we added in a little bit of humor instead of just everything being so ominous. And we went back to him cooking and going through the Rolodex and him sort of recapturing who he is and what makes him tick. And it was creepy, but it was also pretty. I loved this episode.
It was more fun.
Yeah, it was a little bit jovial at times.
Sometimes
Dare
cooking,
I say?
Yeah. You gotta cook some fools to have a good time doing it.
Yes.
I also love that we got like a new layer of Hannibal too. He's been very much so humanized in this episode.
The sexy Hannibal.
Sexy Hannibal.
Yes.
I don't know.
Are you falling for Hannibal?
No, I can't do it. I can't. He really is creepy.
He's creepy. Nando, you falling for Hannibal? What'd you think?
Following him? Yeah, of course I'm following him.
Falling for him.
I'm not falling for him.
Okay.
No, I don't go that way. But nothing wrong with that. I just don't go for serial killers. But what I love about this episode is that finally we're moving forward. I think I incorrectly predicted that I felt that Will would probably spend the rest of the season in prison. But whatever that is a little buzz somewhere. Is that me?
Yes.
Yeah,
That might be me.
Plug it in, push it harder.
That's what she said. All right.
Oh dear.
Someone talk. Someone talk. Flippo,
Someone
you
talk.
keep
We got
talking.
dead air.
Flippo, tell me about.
or either that, or maybe Joe and I should share a mic.
No, we're
Should
fine.
we do that?
We'll fix that one second.
Okay.
But
Anyway, so this episode moved forward pretty well, and it looks like Will's gonna get out. First of all, second of all, it was really interesting to see that layer of Hannibal, like you said, but not just sexy Hannibal. It was almost like poor me Hannibal. You got it? Now I'm totally off.
Try now.
Now I'm back on. Okay.
there we go.
All right, we'll just have to deal with this for now. Sorry, guys. But just he was like playing a victim a bit. Like, his heart was broken, and he was, you saw him in that first scene cutting up a heart on how he was his severed heart. Yeah, exactly. So we got to see a very different side of Hannibal. But again, a lot of fun. Definitely got to learn a lot. Like Alana Bloom knew Hannibal longer than she's known Will or Jack. And then lastly, the most important thing, I think, is Jack's finally starting to get it. It's been like so many weeks. It's like, Jack, why are you being so dumb and why are you being so stubborn? And finally, he's starting to put the pieces together. So, yeah, what I liked about this episode is if you look back at this season, you'll see this is the episode where things are starting to happen finally.
Yeah.
Well, instinctively, you would think that Jack has always instinctively known that Will is you know, I mean, he wants to believe Will, but he's so invested in Hannibal, and Will has always been crazy. His methodology has been crazy, so it's easier to believe that he'd lost his mind, especially with the overwhelming evidence that he had. So, you know, what do you do with that? But yeah, it's good to finally see Jack, you know, come along and do his thing. The things I love about this episode from a tonal standpoint is something that Brian Fuller does, and he talked about this in one of his interviews, how there's so many sort of two-handers, right? There's so many like Will and Jack, Jack and Chilton, Will and Gideon, Hannibal and Lana. This whole scene is made up of these two-person scenes, and a lot of he said point blank, it's to save money. He says, you know, but he says like so you can have money for all those cool effect shots that they do, knowing that, and just knowing there'll be like a scene that's, I don't know, you know, 4 pages of just, you know, Will and Alana or Hannibal and Alana just talking, I'm riveted. Like, it's not boring to me at all. I love to see these people have these conversations. All these conversations were enlightening and wonderful, and all these sort of face-offs, you know, between all those people I mentioned were great. But let's get into some of them. So we have one of the first ones we see is Will and Jack sort of rolling up on Will like, you know, you you did this, right? I mean, you know, I thought that was a very interesting, you know, you have the moment where Jack is like, I want to know your motive. Why would you do this? And that's when I felt like the second he knew that Will tried to kill Hannibal is really the second that Jack maybe started to doubt that Hannibal must be bad. I think he wants to believe Will is so good so bad that he thinks that if Will tried to kill Hannibal, maybe something is up. That was my take on it. What did you think?
I didn't think so. I thought it kind of went the other way. I kind of felt like there was very little. I don't know. It was a tough scene for me in that regard because I couldn't figure out, you know, where Jack's character was kind of landing as far as like on that spectrum. Was he suspicious, or which way did that push him? Because I think when he saw Hannibal, that scene was pretty damn clear. Like, this guy he's gonna die if I don't pick him up right now. Like, this has got to be solved right now. I kind of felt like by the time he got to Will, there was some anger, I thought, and I don't know if you felt like it pushed him the other way.
There was different anger, but I think that he went in there like he didn't have to go have a conversation with Will. Like, it's clear that Will, it's like, so you did it, but there's a curiosity in Jack, like, I need to know why you did this. Here's a perfectly innocent man. I know you think he killed you, but why would you do this? You're smarter than this. Why would you do this? And I think that his explanation, you know, on top of Dr. Gideon's explanation, on top of some other things, I think it swayed Jack. I don't know. What do you think, Julia, about anything?
About anything. Well, I think I touched on that a little bit in the last episode of, I felt like that move on Will's part in this chess game was pretty much a win-win. So either the orderly guy was successful in murdering Hannibal Lecter and now he's gone, or he's not successful and everybody knows, Jack and Alana or whoever else, that he is so intent on killing this man and he's so full of vengefulness towards him that he will go this far to get rid of him, and in that makes Jack and Alana sort of switch their thinking, sort of what you were just touching on. Like, why does he want him dead that badly that he would reach his arms through these prison walls to get to him?
And why do you think Alana Bloom was so quick to just be like, is it just because she was so invested in him and now she's hurt, or is it you know, because Jack, in that scene between, again, another two-hander, that scene between Alana and Jack when they're walking the dogs, and it was basically sort of saying like, you know, effing Will, you know.
Well, I mean, I've gotten to places with friends certainly where I've just kind of gone, you know what, I can't help you anymore. There's nothing I can do for you.
Why are you looking at me?
I'm sorry that, you know,
This would be good.
we talked about this in October, I think. But I mean, like, there's people you kind of get to a space where you kind of go, well, you know what? There's nothing I can do for you. And a lot of time that journey you're on is kind of is very separate from where they're at. And then you know months later you find out, oh, you know what? So and so was you know, well, when you were giving up on him, he got back on track. And you know, so I think that's, you know, Lana. I don't feel like. I just feel like she got to that place where we've all gotten to, you know, where eventually you go, you know, I got to cut my losses. I can't keep carrying water for this person. They're bananas. They're not acknowledging that, you know, if she's decided that he actually did do it, then what she's been pulling for this entire season is for him to come to terms with that, acknowledge it, and then move forward. And he hasn't done that.
It's funny that you say that, though, because you're saying pretty much, if correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but that she's just realized he's just gone too crazy, so she's just given up on him.
No, I'm saying, well, yes, I think that's part of it, but I think that what she's been waiting for is for him to acknowledge that he did do it. From her point of view, there was never a question as to whether or not Will did it.
Well,
at least this season.
I think she thought that Will did it, but
it's not his fault.
It wasn't him.
That's what I'm saying. So what she's been her point of view as far as the therapist goes, is my understanding, is she wants to, as soon as he acknowledges that he did it, then, and stops playing the innocent thing, then we can actually fix him. But as long as you're denying straight up that it was you, and you're going after Hannibal, who's clearly a really sexy guy throwing a great dinner party, you know, if he's playing that game, I can't keep carrying water for him.
I mean, here's the thing: she's a therapist, so even if he seems to be a hopeless case, it's her job to still, as an for her profession, to really work with him. But I think what she has is so much of a personal relationship with him, and just seeing that he committed this act is a betrayal on their friendship. And as she said in that conversation with Jack when they were walking, she's known Hannibal and trusted Hannibal far longer than she's even known Will. So there goes this, you put two friends up against each other, and two friends, if me and Julia are at odds with each other, and I keep talking smack about Julia, and you have to choose between the two of us, eventually you're going to go for the one that's not bitter.
Who are you going to pick?
Doesn't matter. You'd probably go for me anyway. It's not going to go for me anyway. But you probably go for the one that's not going to be bitter, talking about the other person all the time, talking about that person being a bitch or whatever. Hey. I didn't say you.
Wait.
I just said
what's happening right
whatever.
now.
Are we fighting?
Everyone's breaking up in this episode.
Are we fighting?
How much Go Girl did he drink?
Just saying.
So
I'm just saying, Julia.
Well, fair enough.
No, I completely understand.
No, I get it.
Well, let me shift gears there. So you think that Jack? So your official. You think that Jack's shift here was more due to the evidence, or was it more due to Will's?
I think Jack's shift is also a little bit more to, okay, look, what am I going to have to do? And he's been stubborn and refusing to, but he's like, what am I going to have to do to appease Will? I think in a way he wants to appease Will. He's finally like, okay, you know what? Maybe I got to listen to this guy, because who knows what's going to happen next. That's the way I looked at the way Jack was doing it, because it really, for a man like that in control, it really takes a big shift for him to say, all right, I'm going to start paying attention to the evidence now. I think he finally was like, okay, if Will is this crazy to try and kill him from behind bars using some other guy, maybe I am missing something.
Well, the other thing to factor into this mess is that the Chesapeake Ripper did strike again at the beginning of the episode.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's at some point Jack has gotta, you gotta get out of that fog. I mean, Hannibal's demanding they get out of that fog.
Yeah.
Like first he says, I can't get involved in this anymore, Jack. It's not healthy for me. I can't play this game with you guys anymore. I'm detaching myself from all this, and this near-death experience was too much for me. And in the meantime, I've killed this guy, this council member. Really cool. Really cool murder. And you guys are going to have to get Will in on it, because I can't really deal with it. That's essentially what he's saying. He's not going to.
Flowers were blooming for bloom.
Ooh, didn't put it together. Oh. So I mean, all that's going on. So Jack has very clear evidence that obviously Will is not, never was the Chesapeake Ripper.
And well, I don't know. I don't know if he thought that right then and there until the
okay.
end.
Well, and then at least by the time we got done with the orderly being killed. With the guard being killed, with all of the different lures. I mean, Hannibal made it abundantly clear.
Obviously, that's what sprung him, obviously. But he wasn't sprung when the guy showed up with the flower chest.
But I agree. I mean, this goes back to Beverly Cats also. Like, that was a definite Chesapeake Ripper murder, which obviously wasn't Will. And obviously this is someone who is really close to this
Will
team,
and
to Will. Yeah, so I think that is forcing him to shift his focus a little bit.
And not to mention, he did have a chat with Chilton, who Chilton said, who had to basically told him what Gideon and Will said, which makes me, I want to know, do you think, so that conversation, Will has that conversation with Gideon first, through the walls, they're talking
about the dining room.
And the question, I don't know, do you think that Will, is that another chess master manipulation move on Will's
Oh, no
part?
question. He knows.
Does he know that Chilton's listening?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
That's the whole reason for the conversation.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think so too. I was just curious if we all thought that.
Yeah.
So, because the whole thing was like, so Will's, working, then Chilton comes down and Will has a conversation with him as well. And then, so, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of...
The only person whose motivations I don't quite understand are Abel Gideon's. Like, he's smart enough to have understood what was going on. He was smart enough to see what was happening. I just don't understand why he played it the way he did. Like he just played all those pieces wrong, and almost like he did it on purpose.
But the weird thing, the thing that bothers me about that is it's almost as if Will knew they were being listened to, but Gideon didn't.
No, I think Gideon did. That's my point, because he was very. Oh, you want me to say that I was in his dining room with his blue, and he was describing the dining room. He didn't need to go into that kind of detail. If I say I was at Braz's house, I just say I was at Braz's house. I don't describe your living room. So I mean, I think he knew too, but I don't understand why he would go to all the length to the like, hey, why would he go out and say it all to Will, knowing he was being recorded? But when Chilton brought in Jack to interview him, he says, "No, I have no idea what you're talking about."
I genuinely think that Will got to him. I think Will was poking Gideon by saying, like, you're gonna die too. You're gonna die. Like, Gideon, he's like, how can I die? I've been here. Because when anybody's close to me, you're gonna get got.
I could see that, because he seemed to, it was almost kind of like, really? If I said that I was in his house, in Hannibal's house, and described the house, and then he's with the guards, and he's busy making that little crack about, I asked her, what was that line? I asked her if she had, if I had her eyes, or
she had eyes for me.
She had eyes for me, so I had to take them. Yeah, right before the guards.
Why did he want to get
it's like he was tempting fate.
Well, I wasn't. I think tempting fate implies that it was a 50-50, like maybe they're gonna mess me up, maybe they're not. It seemed to me it was like a slam dunk. Like he knew I might get killed right here by these guys brutally. And he did it anyway. That's what I don't understand what the reasoning was.
Yeah, it almost felt like he was trying to get sprung.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to get further away from Will. Because Will requested that they move him into.
So you think he wanted to move the infirmary?
Yeah, just
that was the motivation.
Stay away from Will, because I thought
that's true.
I was wondering about Will in that move, in that chess move of having Gideon come to be next to him, because he did point blank say, you're a marked man now, or whatever he said.
Right.
You have an expiration date or whatever, because now you're close to me. Did he really believe that? So did he really think that in moving Gideon next to him? Yes, they could have this whole conversation that Chilton will hear and Chilton will report on, but also maybe this does get rid of Gideon too. It also lures Hannibal out, because he is close to Will now.
Right.
So Hannibal now has to get rid of him. Another murder from the Chesapeake Ripper, which is obviously not him.
Right.
So I just think it was master manipulation there.
Well, sure, and he's able to get it, and he also was able to get that message loud and clear to Jack. We told him directly, like, look, Hannibal's going to be playing a dinner party, because he's a Ripper and he just killed a bunch of folks, and so look for a dinner party. And Jack's like, yeah, what dinner party? And sure enough, dinner party.
Right.
And then when Chilton was like, oh yeah, he's a cannibal, like it makes perfect sense, it fits the profile. He talks about it's a very diabolical nature. Wait, hold on. There's I'm looking at the wrong notes. The control aspect, the dominance. The dominance.
Yeah, cannibalism is an act of extreme dominance, right?
Yes.
And
love that line.
It is the first time that we hear Hannibal the cannibal, isn't it?
Yes. I believe so,
He
yes.
coined it.
Yeah.
He's proud of it too.
He's attracted to the medical and physiological fields because they offer power over man.
Yes.
And cannibalism is an act of dominance. Yeah.
Hannibal the cannibal.
Hannibal the cannibal.
Yeah, that was the one. But I was very interested in Chilton. I actually really liked him in this.
I did too.
I liked his confidence, because I always thought of him as a sort of a Weasley scared guy, which is how he's kind of played in Silence of the Lambs a little bit. But I feel like that he's very confident, like with his arrogance, and he's like, I want to be the one to catch the Ripper. I want to be the one to catch Hannibal. I want to solve this. And Will knows this about him, so it's trying to play into that. But I did like when he had that final confrontation with Gideon. Like, he didn't blink. Like, this is a guy who took out his insides and rearranged them, but he was nose to nose with him. I mean, realize, like, oh, this guy's not afraid. He went to the dinner party, even though he knew, he might get eaten, but I'm gonna go, and I can't miss this.
He strikes me as like a secondary alpha. It's very interesting, like, because he's cruising around with like genuine badass alphas.
Yes.
Like Hannibal's an alpha, Jack is an alpha,
Sure.
but Chilton is he's a B+ at best. But he's going to be the one that makes it through this, at least through this part. Maybe not through the next. We know that later on that he doesn't do so hot. But at least through this part, we know he makes it through, because he's at least he's able to navigate, which is and the way he's navigating is frankly impressive. Because he's playing this game with Hannibal, and he's playing the game with Jack, and he's playing the game with Will, and and obviously with Abel. He's playing all four guys You know, it's just tricky.
Here's my question, Julia. How did Hannibal know? I mean, after it's very misdirection, in the teleplay here for us, which I kind of don't like when they're leading us one place, but it goes somewhere else. But how do you think Hannibal knew that not to make the food out of people?
I don't know. I had a couple questions. How did Hannibal know? How did Hannibal know that Gideon was in the infirmary?
Well, maybe he's a doctor.
He's a doctor. He might have access to that. I mean, I was okay with that. I think. Yeah,
I was okay with that part.
But then, that was another one of my
And
questions.
then we saw
How
him
did he
prepping
know?
everything. We saw him prepping the Kobe and this and the that and doing the whole 9 yards.
with the Rolodex, looking up people.
Yeah.
The
and
Rolodex.
everything.
It's like
yeah.
the same methodology. So, there's again that misdirection by we're like, oh, he's making a
So is he
already
I don't
full
know.
of people.
So could he just be playing a game? I mean, because he did kill all those people, right? We saw all those bodies wheeled in.
It's got to be a storage unit with
Right, he's gotta
a bunch
have-
of freezers.
Well, we've seen his freezer in
He's
the...
got a Viking
Yeah.
full of people right now.
yeah.
Yes.
Because he
I
only
don't know.
goes top of the line.
Yes.
I don't know how he knew that because he looked slightly panicked when...
Yeah, again,
when
another
he
misdirection.
asked-
I didn't like that. I mean, I really criticize Hannibal and Fuller and the guys. I just didn't like the whole being manipulated that way. It felt a little... I felt that they didn't earn that.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Hannibal's like, whoa, sorry, Jack. We're like, oh no, how's it going to God? Of course, there's no
Nothing.
people.
Zero humans.
But I do think though, if you look at it from that point of view, then he's got he's playing such a high level game. He's like, all right, I'm going to do 2 straight up Chesapeake Ripper murders back to back. Here they are, boom, city councilman with the flowers, all the symbolism. Very clear that you have to be someone on my level to pull this off. You're not just somebody whacking somebody. This is me. This is deep. And then we'll do the second murder in the hospital with a lure from every single person that I've killed as a Chesapeake River. Every little bit of DNA. And here's even a little bit of bark. That'll send you somewhere else.
Tied exactly the way Will ties his.
Exactly. Like
Will can't do that.
How? I mean, God, it's unbelievable how much time, right? That must have taken. And then, but so we'll do that on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I'm gonna throw the dinner party, get you all excited about it, but I'm not gonna not a drop of human meat. It's gonna be at that dinner party.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's
It's a
just-
crazy plan.
He's just playing a game.
Crazy game. And this is the other question, which is, I mean, it has to be true, but that piece of bark, did Hannibal plant the bark, or did Hannibal slip up?
I was wondering about that
Because
too.
we're conditioned to think that Hannibal does not make mistakes, but I mean,
I don't think
He's
Hannibal
only
makes
human.
mistakes.
he's only human.
don't
I just
think he
can't
makes
see,
mistakes.
but I can't see him having someone survive and be found.
But is he?
He was pretty deliberate.
Although I will say I was
Everything
very
in those
surprised.
wars.
Yes.
I was surprised to see Jack do this by himself.
Sure, that was
Especially
very
after what happened with
Scooby-Doo.
Beverly. It's
He
like,
had the
come
hat.
on. It's
How
like,
many
Yes.
times?
The trench
get
coat, and
some
the hat.
backup. Yeah.
Back up. Don't do a
I'm
Beverly
with ya.
Cats.
I wrote
Gosh, I
that down
wish there was
too.
an organization where there was more than 1 or 2 people, and they
It's
could.
called the FBI.
Oh. Well, maybe they have limited resources, and they simply can't send
Federal
more than one
government.
person.
The cops of the federal government.
Jesus,
They got people.
it just fills me with anxiety. I don't care for it.
Sure. So he goes in. He decides to go in solo. He does fine, but I'm just really curious. This I'm driving me nuts about this bark. I'm like, God, did Hannibal? But he didn't. But he couldn't have. But then he wanted her to find her. But then what is she? Is she lobotomized? Is she a robot? Is she brainwashed? Not a robot, but is she like? We know that she found Hannibal. That's why she got. So presumably he opens a thing. He's like, oh my God, Hannibal's a killer. I found the thing. Blah blah blah. Unless he opens a thing and he goes, he asks Miriam, and she's like, derp.
Derp. That's terrible.
She's been down that hole for a long time.
And she's missing one arm, right?
She's missing an arm.
one armless.
I think a tooth, at least one. Wasn't that
Right.
in
She's
the
missing
lore?
one arm, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some stuff kicking
All
around
sorts
the
of
internet that she would probably have Stockholm syndrome, which would make sense.
Okay. So, there's a lot of like maybe he's brainwashed her, and she's gonna tell him that it was a lot of bloom the whole time, or something, something else,
Right.
Or she's gonna say it was Will Graham, or maybe she'll say whatever Hannibal wants her to say. But that's driving me nuts.
It was
That's-
also,
I don't want to jump to predictions, but I want to know what do you think's gonna happen with her?
Well, I don't know about her, but there was a very specific empty hole. The first one he opened was very empty.
Right.
So I'm wondering who was in there that he
Who's in
probably
there?
moved, which I think is Abigail Hobbs.
I think it was probably
and
Abigail Hobbs, too.
he moved her on purpose. I'm working this out right now. This is all
Wait,
just
you think
coming to me.
Abigail Hobbs is alive or was alive?
I think Abigail Hobbs is alive.
I agree with you. Abigail Hobbs. Abigail
Boom.
Hobbs living.
So Abigail Hobbs was in
So
the
I
first
think,
container.
so maybe he put that bark in there on purpose, knowing Jack would go there and find Miriam, but moved Abigail from her hole. So he didn't find her, so he could keep her for shenanigans later.
All right.
Shenanigans.
That whole thing was
Because he looked pretty triumphant.
very and he finished his piece.
Yes.
Like as he's on the harpsichord, it was almost like, again, it's like, what am I gonna do here? Like he's working this piece out.
Finale?
He's trying to figure out. He's got Will, who's clearly trying to kill him. He's got to figure out is he gonna spring Will still? Is he gonna do all this other stuff? And he finishes his piece.
Also, how long has this plan been in the works? Since he's had Miriam for years, how long has he been waiting to unveil her?
And for what purpose?
Exactly.
I don't.
Let me ask you a question. I don't remember exactly how it played out in the episode. Did they cut away from Miriam to Hannibal finishing the piece? Yes. Is that how it ended?
With a little smirk.
Okay, then the bark was planted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he moved Abigail.
You have it all figured out.
I'm just saying, if we're ending on the piece that he's writing, and you know he found Miriam, blah 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 blah, ding 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 ding, bink. Yeah, no question.
That's my harpsichord.
That was good.
But before that, we must get to. We talked about it briefly, but the whole Gideon dinner.
I'm having a friend for dinner.
I said it before 2 weeks ago, and I think that this thing does the gore and it does the suspense. This thing being Hannibal, the show, but the psychological humor, the psychological torture that Brian Fuller is putting me through. Curse you, B. Fuller, because that I can't even get that out of my head what that would be like. The idea of being fed your own leg, and
it was just played so beautifully by both of them, by Mads and Eddie Izzard. That moment where he put that piece of meat in his mouth.
And we also know the same mouth that Alana Bloom kissed, as Vanilla Cupcake pointed out in one of our tweets here. But this is not the first time we know this from the book Hannibal, that this is what he does. He does this in the book Hannibal. He does it. He does the little brain thing.
Yeah.
The brain, and him and Clarice dying together, and then they run off and they run off together as a couple. That didn't happen in the movie. In the movie, he does that to Ray Liotta, poor Ray Liotta, and does that to him, but Clarice.
That's a great scene.
Yeah, that was a horrible scene. So yeah, we know that Hannibal, that's something he does, which is when he really, really doesn't like you.
He wants to stick it to you.
Wait a minute. Do you think that he made Miriam eat her own arm?
No, because he showed the arm.
He sent that.
Season 1.
Yeah, he allowed them to find that.
He left the arm.
That's right. Okay, never mind. I got afraid. All right, you're right. So let's backtracking more. The tree. So we find the tree guy. We get more from Zeller and Price, who I loved. Who I read somewhere they remarkably recovered from Beverly Cats. So they're back to quipping.
They're pretty quippy.
Back to quipping about Kobe beef and. It's like
varicose vines.
Varicose vines.
Oh, Aaron.
Those are the times I wonder, like, did they shoot something out of sequence, or did the guys think this would be an episode 2 weeks later, and they decided to change the timeline? Because I mean, that's pretty bad taste.
I want the web series back.
Oh yeah,
Zeller
Scott
and
and Aaron.
Zeller and Price. So I just want to mention those guys because they're great. But what we haven't really got into is the Alana Bloom situation. In terms of
somebody got into the Alana Bloom situation. Yo,
she was a saucy little vixen in this one.
She was.
She was.
She is governed by her loins.
Now the other thing.
loins.
The other question I have for you guys was this all part of Hannibal's plan? Because when he told Will, I'll give Alana Bloom my regards. Was this Hannibal really just I'm gonna full court press seduce her?
No,
because she was his alibi.
I'll tell you what. I think it's target of opportunity. Okay. I think he's ready to go, but he's prepared to improv. And if Alana is clearly down for the cause, yeah, there was no pressure. I mean, he just laid it. He may have laid some crumbs on the table, and she made a little pigeon up the crumbs. That's fine. But at the end of the day, I don't think he had it planned out.
But when he went to go handle Gideon,
what I'm saying is he was ready to go.
Right.
He was ready to execute. But I don't think he.
She made the first. She made the first move.
That's what I'm saying.
She went in for the kiss.
Right.
I think he's been playing her all along, and I think it was part of his plan.
You think he's that good?
I think he's that good.
It was just the alibi.
He's
piece.
a great manipulator.
Yeah, the piece where Jack comes in like, "Where you at, Hannibal? Where you been?" She's like, "He's been with me." In his little shirt. All she was missing was a quadruple Windsor.
She tried, just didn't have time. Screw it. I'll go down.
Even when he left Will in the beginning of the episode, he was like, I'll send my regards to Alana. for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously it was his way of saying, I'm going to get her later on this episode.
Yeah, I thought he was going to kill her. I didn't know he was going to stoop her. I didn't.
No,
I thought,
it was a stoop. It was a stoop goodbye. It was like, how about them apples? Type of thing. You
I
know?
stooped her for you.
I'm going to stoop her.
God, what is sex with Hannibal like? I don't
I don't know. Well, you know,
I couldn't help think about that.
I thought the same thing, and I thought to myself, he's very good at people suits, so maybe he's a great lay. He might be like.
I imagine he is.
Yeah. Don't give me looks. Don't give me looks. It didn't occur to you?
He's a super neat freak. I could see him with that outfit. No, plastic outfit.
Plastic suit.
The plastic suit.
He's in a Superman. He's in a space suit.
Yeah, he's in a space suit.
All right.
Well,
Protection. That's
you're
protection
not
for him.
on the sheets.
You ain't getting pregnant. You know that.
So we know now. I think things are starting to all make sense again. You know, Hannibal's finally done what I said he would do, which is spring Will. Will be vindicated. Also, who will be vindicated is Dr. Chilton, who is very grinny and patting himself in the back when he realizes that. And I'm really very curious to realize how Chilton interacts with Hannibal now that he knows the truth, especially when Will gets free. You know how that's going to interact. What Jack's going to do, because Jack's always wanted. He's pissed at Will, but he's wanted to trust Will. So I'll see what happens there. But I'm really super curious about how. In terms of what's going to play out next, like does Will just go right back to profiling?
Well, let me ask you this, but before we go there, I got a question for you. Aside from, all the stuff Will has done, up this season to try and figure this all out, to try and navigate through this whole mess. The only thing he's been successful at is having the orderly go after Hannibal, and. Other than that,
no, he's been successful in getting Beverly.
Well, let me ask.
This episode, he did everything.
Well, no, he didn't. This is all on Hannibal's terms. This is all back on Hannibal's terms. Hannibal,
Gideon, Chilton, Jack,
all on Hannibal's terms. I'm telling you that the only reason Will is getting out is because Hannibal killed the assemblyman and the order and the and the guard as the Chesapeake Ripper, clearly. And he left all the pieces that they could not deny. There was beyond doubt that Will was not the Chesapeake Ripper. But that's all because Hannibal said so.
Do you think Hannibal wants Will out to toy with him more?
Yeah. Well, Hannibal has no control over Will in prison.
Or does he want to kill him?
I don't know if he wants to kill him, but he definitely feels like Will has stepped up his game and that he has a handicap being in prison, knowing that Chilton's keeping him from seeing Hannibal, knowing that there's all these conversations that Will can have with Gideon or who knows whatever else, and feed them information. And he even said it. He said it even though he quit the force, the accusations are still trailing him because he knows that he can't control Will in prison. But with Will out now he has more access to him. Now he can definitely play a little cat and mouse, and he can definitely get to Will. It was something he could not do while Will was in prison.
I agree.
So now that we have everyone on we have all these people on, presumably back on Will's side. Like Jack has to be on Will's side at this point. Chilton's on Will's side at this point. Of course, Zeller and Price got to be on Will's side. Even Zeller, who didn't like Will initially. Like, where does this leave Alana Bloom? Is she gonna be like, you guys are all crazy? Hannibal's the best. How does she, especially with the appearance of Miriam? Do you think Alana's gonna stick with Hannibal? Do you think she's gonna die? I don't understand where this leaves Alana Bloom with Hannibal, with all of her team on one side.
I think she's there to torture Will. I think Hannibal's going to use her to torture Will once he gets out. Whether it's because they're a couple now or it's physical torture, whatever it is, I think he's going to dangle her in front of him, and that's going to drive him insane.
Any thoughts on Hannibal's play with Miriam? Why?
That's the thing that doesn't make sense right now because we have not seen a survivor of it. And look, if he kept Miriam alive, why didn't he keep Beverly alive? That's what kind of makes it weird. We were all hoping that maybe Beverly Katz would be kept alive at the end of that episode a couple of weeks ago, and we obviously saw she wasn't. But what made Miriam, especially because wasn't Miriam supposed to be his last kill in that pattern a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly?
I thought it was in the midst. I don't remember if it was
in the midst of it, but
it was
something.
Definitely in the midst.
It was definitely within that streak. So she became somebody in that streak, Yeah, it just confuses me what his play is there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a level of psychological warfare on Jack, too, since Jack's getting so close, and Jack is obviously suspecting him. I think he's been saving her for when Jack got too close to sort of bring her out. I don't know why or how, but I think this is all fueled towards Jack.
I think that's really an amazing play to think that far ahead.
It's a lot. It's a long
couple of years. That's a long-ass play.
And then so now we're here kind of at the halfway point of the season, and we know that this season is sort of Red Dragon, Silence the Lambs in reverse, if you will, and that's kind of what we're having with Will on one side. So we know Will's out. I wonder what these last 6 episodes hold. We know what episode 13 holds, which is Jack and Hannibal, in a confrontation. So we have 6 episodes before Hannibal's even found out. If he's even found out this season, I'm like, oh, the season's over. Will's out. Yeah. What more do we have to do? I have no idea. I'm so curious.
Well, I mean, it really does call into question, what is Will's motivation, overarching motivation for the season? Has it been to get out, or is it to put Hannibal in? And it seems to me that if it's to get out, he only got out because Hannibal said it's okay, because Hannibal decided he ought to get out. Right. So I wonder if Will's motivation, it seems to me that he was never particularly comfortable outside, inside. I mean, he's not comfortable in his own skin. He's doing a job that is killing him, and he can't sleep at night. He's a little bit nuts, no matter what. I mean, all last season, poor Will, because he was in his own prison of his own making anyway. So I mean, I wonder if you'd pull out the idea of getting out as his motivation, and you instead make it getting Hannibal in, then Will is not very much closer to his overarching goal than he was in the beginning.
And also keep in mind, we've yet to see your boy.
Michael Pitt. Can't wait.
Yeah. So he's going to be introduced, and so I'm sure there's probably a multiple storyline arc having to do with his character, who in the book was a horrible child molester. So I don't know. We'll see how whom was disfigured by Hannibal. So we'll see that origin story, I imagine.
Is Hannibal not approved of child molesters?
Well, no, apparently not. I don't know.
Well, he doesn't like the guy who paves over the songbirds' habitat.
No, he didn't like him at all.
Look what he did to that guy.
That was rough.
By the way, good call out on Big Yellow Taxi is the name of that song, right? Paid Paradise and Put Up a Parking Lot. I love that song. And then the next line was like, there was a nesting habitat for songbirds. So I almost think it was like saying, that last line was, I thought it was in reference to that. So I thought it was really cool.
Interesting.
I like that.
Do we have any news and gossip, Nando?
No, not really. I mean, we could do some shout outs if you want to do some shout outs.
I have no internet.
You have no internet at all. You're living in the dark ages.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Is that racial?
Is that racial? No. Last I checked, it wasn't racial. The dark ages were actually real. It had nothing to do with anything of color.
You say I'm not real?
Ladies and gentlemen,
at
Joe
this
Braswell.
Moment, are we breaking up? Are we breaking up, Joe Braswell?
It's over.
That's a callback. I love you, Julia. Just want to make that clear. Stephen Ernest, Taylor S., Michelle S., Gabriel Barreto, Daphne Holmes, Alex B4455, Ben Hamill, Maya Larks, Joe Braswell, of course, because he answered to Maya, Thiggs Brandhoff, I know I'm messing that name up, Alana V, Melina Torres, Arcane, Puzzled Artist. Wow, we have a lot of people. Sal 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 X1.
Yep.
And I think Joseph. I think I said Joseph Boza, but we'll say it again, Joseph Boza. And you said Vanilla Cupcake tweeted at you.
Yeah,
and somebody on the chat room. We don't go to the chat room too often, but someone in the chat room named Crap Weasel wanted us to know that Chilton did a really great job this episode.
Crap Weasel.
So that was very meta. But yes.
Shout out to you, Crap Weasel.
Crap Weasel.
How about some predictions?
Creeweezy.
Creeweezy?
I'm getting hardcore.
Predictions.
That's how crap. All right, I'll go first.
I think you broke Joe Braswell. Are you okay?
You broke Joe.
Somebody did.
It's not my fault. It's my fault.
Creeweezy, yo.
Creeweezy, yo.
All right.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Here's my prediction. I think that Hannibal's been in charge of everything so far. I think that this is all by Hannibal's design, and I guess that's not a prediction. That's more of an observation.
Okay.
But that's it. I think that
I hear he's a
there's
cannibal too.
That's a prediction too,
I
right?
think there's a sense that Hannibal's losing, and I don't think he's losing at all. I think he's completely in charge right now.
Yeah.
So whatever happens next is by his design. If Miriam's in the hole, then other people are probably alive too. Like maybe, I don't know,
Abigail.
Maybe Abigail.
Who said it first? I said it first.
Don't give yourself credit yet.
Oh, I will.
Go ahead.
I'll credit myself for days. I mean, I don't have too much of a prediction right now because it's so multi-layered and crazy and I have no idea what's happening, but I'm enjoying every second of it. I think Hannibal might be a little shocked by this new Will once he gets out, as we've seen Will in his ever-growing stag-like antlers as he's becoming more
we haven't talked about that.
vengeful and murderous and more Hannibal-esque. So I think he's in for a little bit of a treat to see what how determined Will is to get at him.
Yes, I agree with that. Nando?
I think Will's going to surprise himself as well by how crazy he's become.
Well, I think that Hannibal. I think Will's going to be protected while he's outside of prison. He's going to get out of prison because one thing that Hannibal said is like, "You hurt me. Look, what are you going to do to I can't remember the line right now. I just had it up and I was looking up at iTunes for some reason. Just about how he could be hurting other people in his life by what he does. So I think Hannibal's just really going to be pretty much throwing Alana Bloom in his face the whole time, and it's definitely going to be a very big triangle between the three of them. So now that Will's out, he's going to definitely be making a play. I think Alana is the key character to pay attention to the next couple of episodes.
Yeah. That Miriam for me, but I think I agree with what you're saying, Julia. It's we really Will is very diabolical here. Like we've also seen Will back at his full mental capacity. We spent all season 1 sort of seeing Will deteriorate, and then we're back seeing him, sort of clear, but and he's still damaged because I think like Hugh Dancy plays a very damaged person very well.
Poor Will.
So he's still going to be poor Will when he comes out, but I think he's going to be a different vengeful Will. This experience has changed him in a different way. So we'll see. They're going to see Will, try to kick some ass and still go after Hannibal. As we saw in the preview, there was a gun pulled on Hannibal. So we'll see. Flippo, where can we find you?
You can find me on the Twitters at Joe Flippo, JoeFlippo. My website is josephsanflippo.com.
Julia.
Twitter and Instagram at my name, Julia Cearley, JuliaCearley. So follow me, friends.
Nando.
You can find me on Twitter and I believe Instagram at Nandovel, Nandovel, and here on AfterBuzz for a bunch of other shows.
I'm Joe Braswell. You can find me at Joe K. Braswell on Twitter and Instagram. And that's all I got. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Cree Weezy.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye. See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.